129 pounds, wearing black trunks with white markings, hailing from Marigold, Sydney, Australia. Undefeated in 27 contests, 26 victories, 19 inside the distance, 1 draw. Member of the exclusive 11 to have won world championships in 3 different weight divisions. Consummating prophecy of supernova infinity. Challenger, yes, Fenech.
Tremendous support for Fenech, and that was some introduction for him, wasn't it?
Unbelievable. He is a great fighter, and he's a rough, tough guy. He lacks a little polish, but he's got everything else.
Red corner, also scaling 129 pounds, wearing white trunks with Technicolor markings, hailing from Accra, Ghana. 36 encounters, have produced 33 victories, 24 by knockout, 2 losses, 1 draw. Twice a world champion, perpetuating majesty, and glory time, taking his diadem, Azumah Nelson.
Well, he might just about guess he's away from home here, but there's a small knot of Ghanaian fans somewhere in this huge crowd of 38,000. Referee Arthur McCanty, one of the best around, Mickey.
Oh, without a doubt, one of the best and fairest referees around. Whenever there's a major argument over who's going to referee a fight, it usually settles with Arthur McCanty, and rightly so.
And if you don't, you will be penalized. Shake hands now, and good luck to both of you.
Still in great condition as well. So this shapes up to be some fight, much anticipated. 9 months on from their controversial meeting at the Mirage in Las Vegas, which ended in a draw. Probably 80% of observers felt that Fenech had won that fight fair and square. Certainly everybody in Australia did when they saw it as well. And I must say, on my scorecard, I had Fenech a very handy winner that night, but he didn't get it. And this is the result, the rematch in Melbourne. Azumah Nelson in the white shorts, Jeff Fenech, the raging torrent of aggression, the man from Sydney in the black. When they fought before, a lot of the action took place almost on the same square foot of canvas in one corner of the ring, with lots of pressure from Fenech and some very clever counter-punching from Nelson. But in the last round of that previous fight, Nelson was all but knocked out.
It does figure that if the fight goes the distance, the one that will finish stronger is Fenech, because he's that much younger and he hasn't had quite the mileage that Nelson's had. But Nelson's such a correct puncher, and he's never beaten because he can always pull one out of the bag, even when things look really bad.
Yes, he can be a chilling puncher, all right, Azumah Nelson. Asked Pat Cowdell about it. 2 minutes and 24 seconds in Birmingham with a brilliant left hook come uppercut.
And ahead on all the 3 judges' scorecards.
Fenech with a body punch, good little left hook back from Nelson. Nelson, who says he wasn't really in proper shape for the first fight. He said he'd been suffering from malaria before it and had a bit of an injury as well. And this time he says, I shall finish off Fenech inside 7 rounds. Well, we'll see. First fight was one of the best you'll ever see. Oh, and he's got him with a right over the top. First round. My goodness me. Jeff Fenech goes down. He's been floored before by Mario Martinez and Samat Kayakaroon, but that shocked this crowd here. Nelson's punch power. Well, just as we were saying, he can hit, and this is problems in the first round, Mickey, here for Jeff Fenech.
My God. He doesn't normally start as early as that, but he led with his chin up in the air, he led a low jab, and he got crossed with the right hand, and that's a fairly academic punch. And he's obviously got caught a bit cold. He didn't expect Nelson to throw with bombs, but you can't sit back and take it easy with Nelson, but you've always got to be careful.
Fenech, a three-time world champion who's never been beaten. Just that draw, the only blot on his record in the first fight with Nelson. But what a start here.
Well, he's got it to do now.
This is so sharp from Nelson. That was a wicked left hook to the body from him as well.
Oh, yeah.
And there's the end of a first round, and it will be probably scored that as a 10-8 round to Azumah Nelson, a 2-point margin.
Oh, yes, definitely so, because besides the knockdown, he won the round anyway. He landed the most punches, even if there hadn't have been a knockdown. I would have scored at 10-9. With the knockdown, you've got to score at 10-8.
Jeff Fenech bidding to become a 4-time world champion here. He's been world champion at bantamweight, super bantam, and featherweight before, bidding to have the super feather title here. Now this is the crucial piece of action in this first round.
There you go. There goes the right hand over the jab.
And Fenech is deposited onto the seat of his pants. Super crisp punch from Nelson.
Beautiful right hand. But Nelson doesn't throw anything but crisp punches. That's the big danger with him.
Second round coming up here then. Nelson in the white shorts, Fenech in black, and Fenech down dramatically in the first round of this rematch. We were talking about Fenech being a national hero in Australia. Nelson certainly is in Ghana. When he fights, there's big crowds to see him up at the airport. There are drums beating, they have barbecues, and he lives in a palatial home where people come to pay homage outside.
Oh, yes, unbelievable. The only problem is they can't afford to pay to see him. The people that have come there, that looks like about 20 of them, they must all be multi-millionaires.
Well, when you think about it, I think the average wage in Ghana is about £500 a year, and he's on something like £500,000 here tonight, Nelson.
In other words, he could go home and buy Ghana.
Probably could. Good left jabs from him. He looks much, much sharper here than in the first fight to Nelson. 33 now. A lot of people believing that he might be ready for the taking, but that's always dangerous. And look at that typical aggression from Fenech. He's prepared to walk through some punches to land his own, try to wear you down. Slightly different fight from the first one so far in that Nelson is coming forward a little bit more and playing Fenech at his own game, not counter-punching so much.
No, and he's taking the counter-punches so far on the gloves. Look at that. That was a good move. He moved away from the right hand. He's trying desperately hard to be first all the time, and so far he's succeeding. That's a good rally. That's a typical Fenech rally. They're the kind of rallies that will win him the fight if he can keep it up.
Fenech, of course, is the younger man, and he would fancy his chances, I think, as he did in the first fight, of wearing Nelson down, the older man, in the closing stages.
As long as he doesn't run into a right hand like he did in the first round.
Credit Fenech, though, Mickey. He's come back pretty well from that knockdown.
Oh, yes, you wouldn't know he's been down so far. He's a tough guy. That's why this is the kind of a fight that it's advertised to be, and that's why you've got nearly 40,000 people here.
And that's only a slip this time.
No, I don't agree with that.
Oh, wow, this is controversial. Arthur McCanty is now counting this as another knockdown. He makes Fenech take a standing 8 count. Well, we'll have a look at the replay at the end of the round, but it was hard to discern the punch that was responsible for that if it was a clean knockdown. Real problems for Fenech now, because he could be here on the wrong end of another 2-point margin round against him. Of course, forewarned is forearmed as far as Nelson is concerned. He knows what Fenech is like from the first fight now, and he looked much sharper this time.
I give it to him by 2 points because there was nothing in the round. Nobody was winning it and nobody was losing it. So the knockdown has got to be a 2-point round.
Just walking up square on him all the time. Let's try and get into the big hit in the right.
Fenech just doesn't quite seem to be getting his punches off quite so well. In this fight, Johnny Lewis there in the corner. Johnny Lewis, who says that Fenech can be a wonderful friend, but he can also be the most terrifying and vicious person alive. Now, let's have a look at this again, Mickey.
Now, that missed him. That was not a knockdown. But once he's countered...
Now, let's have a look at this again. Nelson does land a right hand. Now, is there a delayed action for?
Now, he's missed with that one.
There.
And that...
There.
Yeah, but that one only caught him on the shoulder. I think that unbalanced him more than anything else. Anyway, it's the referee's decision that counts, and he scored as a knockdown, and we have to score it accordingly.
Yep. He's closer than we are, and he's a good referee, so I think you have to say that maybe Arthur McCanty may have got that right, but it was one of those really that you can pay your money and take your choice. There's no doubt that Fenech is certainly feeling the weight of Nelson's punches, as what 37 others have done before him.
Exactly.
Good right there from Fenech. And then the left hook to the body. And that left uppercut, that was a good shot from Nelson. Look at the way fast punches too. And look at Fenech having to cover up here. This is a different Azumah Nelson from the one we saw in Vegas.
I was just thinking, he's not letting Fenech do anywhere near the amount of work. He's not letting him get into the fight at all. And any time he does, and maybe I've spoken too soon, this is the best rally he's had probably.
Fenech has got to get through these early stages, and look at the way he's come back now with hooks to the head.
Yeah, very much so.
This is the first fight revisited, this scene. Nelson on the ropes. Relentless aggression from Fenech. He's a terrible handful to have to face in there.
But he still doesn't have Nelson's power.
Nelson covering up well there, coming back with his own counters. This is what made the first fight so difficult to score, that so much of the action was like this.
Exactly. But
Left hook, Nelson.
But a lot of Nelson's punches are missing.
Little uppercut inside, but you can see the judge's problems. How do you score exchanges like this? You've got to watch it very carefully indeed.
Oh, I've got Fenech winning this round. I've got him winning this round comfortably because he's getting by far the better of the exchanges, and he's making Nelson miss with most of his counter punches. 1 or 2 are getting home, but the bulk of them are missing.
Good pressure from Fenech. There were some uppercuts and then a couple of right crosses as well. This is quite a comeback from the Australian in this round. 2 more head punches got through, and Nelson looks a little bit open. He tries to battle back, but he's being outgunned, and Fenech won't let him out of there. He's almost stapled him to the ropes.
It's a pity that Fenech doesn't punch a bit harder. These would have a lot more effect. The punches are more flurries than solid punches.
I think the effect, though, Mickey, is often with him cumulative.
Oh, sure, and they'll have the effect of tiring Nelson, who's a much older man of the two. But look.
Oh, and they want to carry on with it after the bell. That was some round, that. His 7th defense of the title. He won against Mario Martinez 4 years ago. In fact, 4 years and 1 day ago exactly. It was February the 29th, 1988.
But he was featherweight champion for donkey's years before that. I'm sure you'll know the exact amount of years better than I do, but he seems to have been world champion at either featherweight or junior lightweight forever.
Yeah, it was 1984 to 87 when he was featherweight champion. All starting with a chilling 11th round knockout of Wilfredo Gomez in Puerto Rico. That was the action right on the bell from the previous round. Out they come for the 4th, and it's another thriller.
It certainly is. It certainly is, and And in that round, Fenech turned the fight right round. Now let's see if he can keep it up.
Round 4, good jabs from Fenech right at the start of the round. But once it gets into that close quarter brawl, Fenech, I must say, looks more effective.
Faster hands, I think, is the answer, but he doesn't have the power that Nelson has.
A lot of people compared Fenech, when he first started, to a young Roberto Duran with his relentless swarming style.
I think you'll find that Fenech's right eye is cut.
Yeah, there does look to be a nick there. You're right, actually, Mickey. Nelson coming in behind those high-held gloves, waiting, watching for the opportunity to explode that heavy artillery that he has.
That's the one amazing thing about Nelson, is you can hit him 5 or 6 or 7 punches, and one punch in return levels things up. Yes, Fenech's already being bothered by the eye. He just wiped it with his glove. That was a good left hook to the side.
And then body punches back from Fenech. Fenech with this eye problem. This is the 4th round. We'll have a look in the corner at the end of the round and see just how serious that is with the close-up camera, maybe. Fenech just getting his gloves up and trying to protect that eye a little bit. That, of course, may affect his tactics a little. It's a different round again, with them both almost relying on jabs until that left hook from Fenech. It does look a bit dodgy, that right eye, I must say. Of course, the other problem Fenech has, and has had for a long time, is bad hands. He's needed 5 operations on his hands and has had to retire twice.
It seems to be all right so far. He's having no trouble letting punches go, and he's getting hit. This round he's boxing very well. He isn't landing that many punches, but he's getting hit back with comparatively nothing.
Here's the countdown, last half a minute of the 4th round, a quieter round from the last one. The body punch from Fenech, good right from Fenech, and then he slipped the counter coming in from Nelson.
Yeah, and he's taking absorbing most of the punches on his gloves.
Good left hook to the body too from Nelson, then from Fenech rather, then the right to follow it. Fourth round, and maybe Fenech had that one as well. 4 rounds gone here, and really is some fight. Well, so much rain in Melbourne, the crowd are absolutely drenched, and they're having to stop it getting into the ring. Now, this is the problem, because it shouldn't, in theory, get onto the canvas because of a canopy over the top.
Except that the rain comes in from the side and the wind sweeps it in. A rainy canvas will affect Fenech more than it does Nelson, who tends to stand on flat feet.
And if they can get a crowd of 38,000 when it's raining like that, what would it have been on a sunny day?
My God, yeah.
Fenech really is a massive sporting figure in Australian terms, rather like Frank Bruno, I guess, in Britain. 5th round here now, and this becomes ever more intriguing. Nelson on top early on with 2 knockdowns. Fenech beginning to claw his way back and get a real foothold in the fight.
I make him 2 points behind, basically on the 2 knockdowns. In rounds, I've got them winning 2 rounds each.
Azumah Nelson, who's been around at the top now for 10 years.
He just landed 2 good punches, a right hand over a jab, and then a left hook over a right hand lead.
Oh, that's a great right. That shook Fenech, that did. And then that right uppercut. These are problems for Fenech. His head clears quite quickly, but you almost saw his eyes go into orbit when one of those shots went through. There's no doubt about it, the more concussive punch is with Nelson.
Oh, but for his punching power, Fenech would win this fight easy, but that's the great leveler, that one good shot of Nelson's is as good as 6 of Fenech. May not score as many, but physically it has that effect. You see, he just hit Nelson with 2 good punches, but they had hardly any effect, comparatively speaking.
The last person, indeed the only person, to stop Azumah Nelson was Salvador Sanchez in the very last round, when Nelson came in at short notice for his first ever world title fight, and that was 10 years ago.
And he was ahead on all the judges' scorecards going into the last round.
That's right, and he fought so well there that nobody wanted to know him for another couple of years. Fenech getting through with some head punches. Nelson, so far in this round, particularly with that impressive opening 30 seconds, would I think be ahead on the scorecards. Good jab, that's good punching from Nelson. 2 jabs, doubled up on it, then the right hand. And that's a good shot though from Fenech in return. There's not a lot in these rounds. Oh, there's the right. And this time it's Nelson who has to cover up, but look at the way he battles back and fires back. Neither man prepared to give way, not only physically, but sort of psychologically as well in there.
Yes, definitely so. I think Fenech has won this round. I just think he landed the more punches of the 2, unless something happened in the closing seconds.
Gum shield came out. I think it was Nelson's. Referee will let the action go on for a moment before getting that put back in, or he may let the round finish. Indeed he does, which is sensible refereeing. Well, Mickey and I may differ on that one. I think I might have just given it to Nelson.
No, I think Fenech won the round.
Action again from that 5th round. There's the uppercut, and there's that right hand that buckled the knees of Fenech. That was the punch of the round. It was, I guess, how you scored the rest of it, which is why Mickey and I are at disagreement. No problems about that, because judges do it all the time.
I've got them
right from Nelson.
I have them
well.
exactly a point apart right now. I've got Nelson ahead by 1 point by virtue of the 2 knockdowns, and I have Fenech ahead by 1 round.
I've got it 2 points to Nelson at the moment. 6th round coming up. One of the big question marks in this fight is, will Azumah Nelson fade in the closing stages? Will those 33-year-old legs begin to take their toll? I don't know. I think I doubt that, actually.
He somehow gets stronger in most fights. As old as he is, he seems to wear the opponents down. I think because he paces himself better. He makes them do more work than him, and he just lands the telling punches. And therefore he has the stamina to finish stronger, usually, than most of his opponents. But this Fenech's a tough guy, you can never tell.
Yes, it's all non-stop aggression with Fenech. Hits him with the right hand. The feeling that Nelson is the superior technician and has the superior power. But how do you stop this tide of pressure from Fenech?
He's pushing his way through to success in the last couple of rounds. He's just leaning on Nelson and not letting him work and stealing a few rallies. They're not really very effective. They're point scoring, but they're not taking anything out. And you see, when Nelson lands a couple of punches, as he did just now, that's physically a great leveler. If not on the scorecards, it's certainly a leveler as far as the physical strength of the 2 are concerned. Look, there was another good right hand.
Fenech is made to miss with the follow-up. Looks a little bit wild there, Fenech, I must say. The crisper punching from Nelson, but look at this pressure you see all the time from Fenech. He's prepared to use his elbows, his shoulders, anything could do. He's a rough, tough brawler.
And that, you know, is the advantage of fighting at home. You get away, just about get away with those things where the visitor doesn't.
Nelson having to cover up, but he's very adept at doing that. He's been through all of this many, many times before. And nearly always he's prevailed. Good little right crosses. And when it gets like this, Fenech looks the governor. How many counters can Nelson produce in this situation?
Won't take many, you know. 2 or 3 good ones would do it. Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah, there was a good right there. And Nelson giving as good as he gets, and better, in fact, here. And then another left.
Just those 2 punches nullified all those combinations that Fenech threw.
Well, the better punches are from Nelson. Here, there's no doubt about it. Fenech wild by comparison, and I think he's just a little bit shaken up by some of that. Look at him turn the table. Fenech is in trouble here. And the bell comes, and it couldn't come a moment too soon for Fenech. Azumah Nelson, big round.
We can win the fight this round by you sticking that jab in because you all right to be on.
That's a right eye doesn't look so good either, Mickey.
No, the cut is in a bad place. I don't know how bad it is because we're not close enough to it. But it's certainly in a bad place right over the eyebrow. And if it's a bad cut, then he's in trouble with it. But they don't seem to be too concerned. They're not doing much about it anyway.
They have the old iron out there. It's just closing a little, that eye, and there is a cut, but it's nothing that looks too terminal at this stage. This is this rough, tough exchange.
Oh, that's a good shot.
Yeah, Nelson got the better of this.
There's another one.
I love you so much.
What a fighter he is, Azumah Nelson. British fans know all about him. He beat Pat Cowdell in Britain, and he beat Jim McDonnell in a much, much tougher fight a couple of years back. 7th round here. 33-year-old Azumah Nelson looking as good as ever. But Fenech is so strong. Unbeaten, of course, in 27 contests.
Well, I have him 3 points behind in this round, and the last round looked to me like Nelson's beginning to take over.
Fenech now choosing to dodge around the ropes, which is not kind of his style, really. This is more like it from him, though. Gets through with a couple of rights. Looking for any signs now at this stage of the contest that Nelson might be slowing down a little bit. And I think a little bit of tape's come loose on Azumah Nelson's glove. And they want that put back, and that's only right because if it flicks into the eye, it could cause all sorts of damage.
The problem with this fight, Ian, is that at any stage, when Nelson cuts loose, he has a far better chance of hurting Fenech than Fenech has of hurting him. He levels a lot of the action out with 2 or 3 solid punches, as he did in the last round.
Azumah Nelson, well, they say that the best exports from Ghana are cocoa, gold, and Azumah. There's Fenech. The eye damage doesn't look too bad, Mickey.
No, it looks like they've done a good job on it, or it wasn't too bad to start with. It's just in a dangerous place, but if it's not bleeding, they've got no problem.
After the first controversial fight, Fenech said he would never fight in America again after that decision, and even Jose Suleiman, the WBC president, called it a grave controversy. That landed on the gloves, that punch from Fenech. Something else, of course, the judges have to look out for: how many punches land on gloves and elbows, how many get through.
And the quality of the punches.
And the better quality shots in this contest so far have come from Azumah Nelson.
Almost all of them.
Good left hook, that one got through, behind the gloves. Jeff Fenech, nicknamed the Thunder from Down Under. But most of the lightning has been coming from Azumah Nelson in this one so far.
This round is pretty close.
Slightly quieter round so far. And that's good from Fenech. Rocked Nelson's head back a couple of times. Nelson hasn't fought at all since the first match 9 months ago. Fenech's had one routine fight just to mark time, points win. scoring with his jab. It's a good right, though, from Fenech, who once again wants to get into that close-range barroom brawl if he can.
His hands are much faster than Nelson's, but he doesn't have anywhere near the power.
This is a better round, though, for Jeff Fenech.
Yes, he's in professional terms, he's stealing the round.
He's starting to find a way through in this round. He's got through with some head punches.
He's working on the basis that if you throw a lot, some will get through, and it's working, certainly in this round.
That was Fenech's round, I think, no question, Mickey.
Yes, I agree.
The Nelson corner. Trying to keep him cool.
He looks very cool, doesn't he, in his approach? He's sitting there very unperturbed.
It's one of his big strengths, I think, really. He's got such a brilliant boxing brain.
Yeah, and good mentality.
Somebody's giving my wallet's here. Right away, come on.
Jose Martin, Rafael Martin in the corner with Nana Yor Kanadu, who was super flyweight champion for a while. Johnny Lewis doing most of the talking in the Fenech corner. Fenech, who almost single-handedly led a big Australian boxing revival. Jeff Harding and the Walters brothers also involved in that. And Joe Bugner even for a time. Now can Fenech build in last round he had? Nelson starts fast in this one.
Every time Fenech puts a load of combinations together, Nelson seems to neutralize it with one big punch. There you go.
Really is another fascinating fight, this one, with the plot thickening all the time. Just look at Fenech. He's taken all those shots from Nelson, but his head clears and back he comes again.
That was a good left hook.
But these really are the sort of fights that age boxers. Hard, grueling affair. Good left from Nelson then off the ropes. You be the judge here. You try and score this at home. Good left again from Nelson, but the right coming in from Fenech.
But the power is coming from Nelson, as you can see. There was a good hook.
Halfway through the 8th round. And they're back on that favourite little square foot of canvas. It really is the fight in a telephone booth.
Oh yeah, this is a rough fight now.
Fenech leaning on, pumping away with body punches, and just occasionally back comes Nelson with a wicked left hook like that one.
There he is.
He's rocked him. Now Fenech's going and he's down again. And this is trouble. This is trouble in the 8th. And he gets up too quickly.
And boy, he looks bad. He just shook his head to the corner.
Nelson might finish this here. He's good at doing it. There's no doubt about it. Fenech is shaken up and he's going to be stopped. It's all over.
Oh, and rightly so.
Nelson in round 8 has pulled off one of the great wins of even his illustrious career.
What a finish. Unbelievable.
The chilling puncher from Ghana. Everybody said in the first fight, or most people said, that he'd lost it. They said he didn't deserve the draw, but he settles the argument once and for all in the most emphatic fashion in the rematch. And this Australian crowd, as if they hadn't had enough shocks with the way their cricketers had been going in the World Cup, are stunned by that.
To use an old saying, he brought his own referee.
Tremendous punching. It's really, as Nicky and I think we're saying most of the way through, that Nelson had the extra power. He'd shaken up Fenech. He had him down in round 1, a bit controversially in the 2nd, but no doubt about it in the 8th.
As I said earlier in the round, all the punches of Nelson seemed to have far more effect than those of Fenech, and one good shot did it.
And Jeff Fenech has been beaten for the first time in his career. And Azumah Nelson, well, he just rolls on and on.
The winner by knockout, retaining the WBC
We can hardly hear the MC, but really the announcement is superfluous. We all know what's happened here. One of the great performances from a great boxer.
Wonderful. 2 or 3 combination punches he absorbed, and then he let 2 punches go himself, and it was all over.
That's the story from Melbourne. Azumah Nelson beats Jeff Fenech, 8th round stoppage.